Okay, so one of the things to take a look at, just to make sure you're aware, in learning activity, HTML structure, this kind of goes over the basic structure we're looking for. It talks about each of the sections, and then this video tutorial down here from lynda.com really is really good. So if you get time, make sure you go back and look at that. It's going to definitely help you out if you have not done so. Now, with that said, first thing I want to do is look at your folder structure. Now, I will say when you save your zip folder, you added a period at the end of the zip folder at the name. Make sure you don't add that extra period because your Mac and if you're on a Mac, it's automatically add that period to it. When you try to extract it, some students might have issues with that. Now, folder wise, everything here is set up correctly. Okay, so let's start with your index page. Um, One thing we're missing here is each of the head sections should have a meta tag. Okay, and that meta tag should say meta char set equals UTF-8. This is for symbols that you might add to your page, such like the copyright symbol, greater than sign, less than sign, things like that. And this tells it what library to get it from. So which is on that part. So the other thing I would do is I would make sure that when you have a group and then you have elements inside a group, I would indent it. So that way it makes it easier to read. Trust me, if you have to go back and edit and find that group, when you have it all over to the left like that, it's hard to find. So I would indent that over. A little hint, anything with a red that comes up tells you that there's something wrong with your coding. First of all, I noticed that you have an opening head tag here. We only have one head tag and it's up here at the top. Head element is going to appear behind the scenes, has nothing to do with the header, so don't get confused, a header of a page. Head is to help the browser know how to view the page itself. So I'm going to delete this extra opening tag. Okay. Now, if you're going to set up these paragraphs, again, you're going to change this next week. You're going to learn more about this, but you have the coding correct here. We would have to have a closing tag here. So that closes this paragraph. This new paragraph, we're going to go in, we're going to delete this closing one because you have a closing tag over here already. So we just have to go in and adjust the coding correctly for that. Now let's look at your about page. Again, notice how this red comes up? The reason is because you have text that's not inside a tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out and I'm going to put this in the paragraph element you have there. And I'm going to delete this closing or this opening head tag that you have, and we got to put in that closing p tag. So once we correct those elements up here, then there's nothing wrong with this, it's just what's usually indicates something before it. So same thing here. Okay, delete the head, put a closing p tag in, do your indentations where you can. If you're not going to use a paragraph, you delete it. It already adds the extra return. A break is a soft return. So you don't usually put a break before the text. You can do it afterwards. Okay? And if you do a break, what you do is you type in a BR space /. That is a soft return proper element right there. So it doesn't have, there's certain elements that don't have a closing bracket. And what we do is we type in the tag followed by a space and a /. Now what this looks like here instead, what you're trying to do is it looks like you're trying to do a list. Now you're going to learn lists next week. So here's what you do with a list. And by a list, it automatically is going to add that extra return. Okay, so what you do is you put a UL tag in, which is a bullet list. I'm going to put that closing tag after the list item. Then each item in your list, you got to put the LI tag in, and the closing tag is going to go at the end. I'm just going to copy and paste. You learn that doing a lot of copy and pasting. Just trying to line that up. And when we save it, it's automatically going to add this as a list. So you're going to learn more about that next week. Let me delete this break. Delete this break. Now you can have the title. I'm not sure why the title element's down here. Again, you can't have the title element. It's only up here at the top. Same thing with the head. Oh, the title element requires in the head section. So maybe you copy and paste this over. This is where those brackets will actually cause an issue. So you got to watch out when you're working with brackets like that. And that's why that meta tag comes in play, because if we have to put in an insert a special character for that. So I would have you delete that from that list. But I would put a paragraph here. So every paragraph should have a paragraph tag. So that way your paragraph is inside it. So look, just see what this looks like. So there's the bullet list. Okay. So again, just some minor things you got to work on. And if you have any questions,